Can Ryuko save Earth from the subjugation of Ragyo and the Life Fibers? Find out in my review of the final episode of Kill La Kill. Words leave me at a time like this in the final episode of a series. It's always the hardest one to review because there's so much swirling emotions going on inside. You're still trying to process what you just saw. And what I just saw was insane. It was so indescribably crazy. It was, of course, a big action scene delivered on all fronts. It was really exciting. And the whole thing that really still shocks me the most here, and of course, massive spoiler alerts if you have not seen this week's episode, is how they suddenly allowed Senketsu to die in this week's episode. It was one of the strangest death scenes I've ever seen because it happened so suddenly and without warning, and it was instantly over. And I don't know, I'm kind of devastated by it. And I know that seems like maybe I'm dressing it up a little bit, but when I was actually watching the episode for the first time, I was really, like, in my mind, fighting back the man tears. Mostly because I was doing a reaction video and I didn't want to get me crying on camera. But just that whole scene, even with all of the action that happened this week, which is typically, you know, everything that I care about most of all, just that scene with Senketsu dying was just so... It affected me, guys. I don't know. I can't put it in words. And it's a piece of fucking clothing. That's what's driving me crazy, you know? But he's more than just clothing, you know? And I don't know. Just, obviously, I'm going to have to process the entire series a little bit more. I'm currently going to be watching this episode again tomorrow night with a few friends. Me and Christian are going to do, like, a whole discussion. So we're going to have some more time to think about this. But some of the other stuff in this episode, Ryuko's big transformation at the end I thought was really cool. The Fashion Week transformation where she gained the power from all of the different Goku uniforms. I was slightly disappointed by the fact that Ryuko was not going to be joined by Satsuki in the final battle, because it just seemed perfect since they were both sisters and everything. But at the end of the day, this is Ryuko's story. It is her chance to shine, and obviously the Fashion Week uniform looked awesome. I loved the color scheme on it particularly. The orange, the red, all of the crazy spikes, the fact that her dress portion looked like a big drill when she was flying. There was a lot of, like, Gurren Lagann moments through this episode, which, you know, makes sense, the creators of the series. Like that moment where Senketsu flew through Ragyo for the first time and went all Giga Drill Break right through her. That was really cool. Mako this week was great. I love the way she reacted to Gamagori's supposed death, which did not happen. But I love that scene because I wasn't upset about it at all because of the way she was crying. It was just so goofy, the way they drew her crying and everything. But Mako was another standout character this week, especially with the whole thing about wanting to go on a date with Ryuko. Obviously, she's doesn't really swing that way, but it's just a big joke. It is funny that she does kiss her a couple of times, and it is actually followed up in the final credit scene this week where you get to see Satsuki with a brand new haircut, which looks super cute, hanging out with Mako and Satsuki, and they just go out and have like a girls' day out. And it's adorable, and it just sort of shows that, you know, even after all of this, life goes on, clothes is clothes, humans are humans. It's very simple. But of course, they're just all the action scenes this week. All the stuff with the Elite Four, who I think are still some of the coolest characters of the entire series. They just reek of personality, and of course their designs look great. Seeing them in action was great this week. Nui Harime was also a standout when she was absorbed by the massive life fiber and it transformed into her massive creepy-ass face. Again, I was slightly disappointed. I wanted to see Ryuko defeat her, because that's been like one of the bases of the whole series. But then again, I guess it just sort of, you know, shows that Ryuko is beyond the point of revenge anymore. She sort of learned that revenge is sort of petty, and that even by killing Nui, it's not really going to do anything. I mean, she's just a freaky life fiber creation anyway. Ragyo this week, again, was also cool with her brand new Shinra Koketsu and her cheap-ass abilities to be able to control all of the life fibers and, you know, mess with them at will. It was a nice twist, though, with Senketsu being able to absorb those abilities, and it makes sense throughout the whole series. They've been showing that whenever Riko is fighting against opponents, she's able to absorb their life fibers into her and use them and to become really, really powerful, and that's how she sort of defeats Ragyo. Although, even Ragyo's defeat is a little strange, because she sort of kills herself. She doesn't learn anything. She doesn't try to come over to the good side at all. She literally rips her own heart out, tells Ryuko that there's going to be other life fibers, so you better look out, and then she just crushes her own heart and explodes into a little wave of blood. And I don't know. I wanted more defeat on these characters. I wanted to see mankind really strike back against these assholes, and in a way they did. It was still a spectacle, but it wasn't quite the ending I was looking for. However, beyond all of that little nitpicky stuff that I'm saying, this whole episode was a complete joy to watch, especially if you've been following the entire series. I think as a whole, episodes 1 through 24 is a great watch. It's one of those shows that are just really fun to marathon with friends, especially if they've never seen the show before. And now that the entire series is available to people, it's just going to get a lot more exposure. I really, really hope it gets licensed and released in North America, because the minute I see a Blu-ray DVD combo, I'm slapping it on my wall right there, and I'm going to rewatch it constantly, just like Gurren Lagann. I don't want to compare it to Gurren Lagann. They're just two completely different types of shows. All I can say is this one was great. It's still easily in my top 5 favorite series I've seen, if only for the uniqueness and the great mixture of pretty much everything. Just, again, the moment this week that kills me is the death of Senketsu. I'm going to have to watch that scene a couple more times, and I'm going to have to rewatch the series a few more times to really get something out of it. It's so sad and so profound, after all of that, he just gave it all up. He just burned away. And after everything they've been through, and it's just like, Senketsu was basically like the living will of Ryuko and Satsuki's father. And he was just doing whatever he could to protect his daughters. And as cheesy as that is, that's what I'm getting out of it. All I know is, Kill La Kill, you are a gorgeous anime series with a lot of unique ideas. One of the craziest concepts I've ever heard. I never imagined that clothing could be turned into an action series like this, but you managed to pull it off. It also manages to be an incredible parody of the magical girl genre, as well as the slice of life school show. It's, again, just like Gurren Lagann, just a mixture of a lot of great things, and I cannot wait to see what Trigger has in the future, because I want them to have more free reign for doing what they want, because they clearly had a lot of creativity with this series, and it shows, because it's going to stick around for a long time in my mind. It's got a great cast of characters, which are all incredibly memorable, which have so many unique abilities that you can't compare to anything else. And it's just distinctly why I think anime exists in the first place, why it's a genre and a medium that gets a lot of attention. Because everything in the series would not work in live action, or if it would work, it would have to be beyond expensive. I just don't think, it belongs in anime. It's what gives credence to the art. And that's what makes Kill La Kill such a standout series and such a joy to watch. I cannot praise this series enough for how amazing it is. So, the final episode for me, even though I was a little disappointed by some of the final moments, overall, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Kill La Kill is incredible. This episode was no exception. If you haven't seen any of the episodes of the series, I highly recommend that you check them out. Go to Crunchyroll. I believe they have all of the episodes there. You can watch them with subtitles. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. Kill La Kill. I am so happy to have reviewed this anime series. It's one of the other few series that I've watched and reviewed from beginning to end. And if you guys haven't seen any of my other previous reviews for the episodes, make sure and check out our playlists. There will be an entire Kill La Kill playlist with every single review of every episode. And stay tuned, because Christian and me are also going to do a big discussion video on Kill La Kill. We're going to try to make it really lengthy. We're going to do a lot of comparisons to other series and just sort of give our big final thoughts on Kill La Kill as we sort of watch the final episode again and process everything. But otherwise, that's it. And also check out my reaction of the entire episode. I will put a link to that in the description box below. So, today, guys, we will say goodbye for the final episode of Kill La Kill. Don't lose your way! See you guys.